Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Reborn as a Goku clone. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 22. With how low the battle powers were for everyone on Earth, it was actually quite hard to sense them from so far away. It went to show how awesome Guru was. He could do it himself without any yard rat training. But, eventually I did lock onto one familiar power, accompanied by another power, and I was quite surprised. Guru was not at all kidding. Piccolo and Gohan, by my estimates, were around the strength I was when I went into the hyperbolic time chamber to learn to control the Oozuru form. Between them and Goku with the Kaioken, I actually can see them cleaning up Vegeta without too much issue. Looks like Piccolo has been abusing the Zenkai with Gohan as I told him, and in the process, Piccolo got stronger just from training with someone that's strong. Man, how quickly things changed and spiraled with just a little bit of extra information, huh? I locked into Piccolo's ki quickly, and a moment later, I disappeared from the planet of Namek and appeared back on Earth, atop a large flat-headed mountain. As soon as I did, my eyes landed on two figures, both sitting cross-legged and meditating, on a rock in Mini Gohan's case, and floating mid-air in Piccolo's. As soon as I appeared, Piccolo's eyes snapped open in shock, before landing on me. Kakarot, I was wondering if you would ever get back, the green man snorted, lowering gentle to the ground and towering over me. Arms crossed. How did you get here without me sensing you? He demanded first of all. The only reason he wasn't freaking out about my huge girthy battle power was because I had suppressed it to around the same it was at before I left Earth. It sure is hard keeping a handle on this huge girth of mine. A little technique I picked up out in space lets me teleport to any power I can sense, I casually explained. The commotion of us talking broke Gohan out of his meditation, and the kid blinked his eyes open and stared at me in confusion, before his eyes widened and tears began to bud in the corner of them. "Daddy," he sniffled. I winced. "Not quite, kid," I replied, "I'm Kakarot." Oh. He slumped in disappointment. Looks like Piccolo has explained who I am at least. Don't worry, kid, your dad will be back soon. In fact, in the next few days I'm betting, I assured him, and it was a testament to how resilient Gohan was that he perked right back up. Really, he beamed, losing his sadness in an instant. Thanks for letting me know, Mr. Kakarot. You can just call me Uncle, Gohan. I more or less pass for the twin of your dad at this rate. I found myself replying without any input from my brain. Damn you, mouth. This is treason. I've not really had a good track record with uncles. He pointed out with a little smile. But okay, Uncle Kakarot. Before I could reply, there was a snort from Piccolo. Yeah, mushy crap and all that, he huffed, before glaring at me. By the looks of it, your power hasn't increased at all. What have you been doing these past 8 months? I laughed. Oh, trust me, Piccolo, I've done more than you can imagine. I grinned broadly at him. I'm just keeping my power suppressed right now because of how terrified you'd be if you felt how massive my power is right now. I doubt it, Piccolo snorted. I heard all about that Frieza freak from Kami. That Triclops wasn't very tight-lipped around that old fossil, and while I'd never felt his power, I at least have a rough basis of how much he outclasses us. Basically, what he was saying was he'd come to terms with how strong Frieza was and was saying unless I surpassed that, he wouldn't be impressed. Piccolo, always the harsh taskmaster. Now, if only you kept that up in the normal timeline after Cell, Gohan wouldn't have become a disappointment. It was funny how little had actually changed between this guy and his future counterpart. Oh, trust me, Piccolo, even in my base form here, I've far surpassed Frieza. I could kill him with both arms tied behind my back. My smirk got even larger, but don't worry, I come bearing gifts. You'll find that Frieza isn't much to worry about these days, and in a few hours you would be able to take care of him yourself. Piccolo's bald brows furrowed, a bold claim for a mere 6 months. And that's on top of you being able to get 10 times stronger in that giant ape form like Gohan, he mused. Wait, what? My eyes snapped back to Gohan, and my eyes widened. There, wrapped around his waist, was a furry brown belt, or rather, a tail. Piccolo hadn't gotten rid of his tail this time? And he knew how much stronger Gohan got and talked about it casually. You managed to teach him to control it? I gaped at him. Humph, as if I would allow any student of mine to be so weak-minded they couldn't control such a boon, Piccolo snorted. Now putting aside that plebeian matter, tell me Kakarot, what are these gifts you speak of? Something I picked up on Namek, I shook my head and replied, getting back on top. I held up my hand, a portal rippling into existence and dropping a familiar orange spiky fruit into my hands. This is a fruit from the Tree of Might, suffice to say, I have many of them, and just eating one will increase your power by just around the amount you currently have. Despite the shocking revelation I just dropped on him, Piccolo was utterly silent. That's absurd, there's no way something that miraculous exists. Piccolo rolled his eyes and shook his head. Instead of trying to convince him, I rolled my eyes and looked to Gohan. Here kid, have a snack, I said, tossing it to him. The kid caught it easily and looked to Piccolo, who just nodded. Thanks Uncle Kakarot. He bowed his head politely to me, and then took a bit out of the fruit. And promptly had his eyes widen, alongside Piccolo's, as his power skyrocketed, more than doubling in amount. My scouter displayed the number it settled on a few moments later. 37,564. Unreal. Piccolo gasped in shock and awe, while Gohan just gaped at himself, clenching and unclenching his fists. Mr. Piccolo, I feel so strong. Gohan gasped. Of course you do, you just got more than twice as strong as you were before. Piccolo snapped at the boy in his shock. It took a good few moments for the both of them to calm down, and I could see the flush in Piccolo's green cheeks. So, gifts huh? He coughed. And I assume you brought some for everyone, he asked. Yup, I laughed, flashing him a thumbs up. I've got a ton of 'em like I said. I've saved up 30 for each and every single one of you, from you and Gohan, to Kami, the other guys, and even Bulma's parents. Insane. Piccolo gaped at me. How on earth did you manage to come by these fruit? I abused the Namekian Dragon Balls, I shrugged. Among other things, I grow a bunch of these fruit thanks to a wish, got myself some regeneration that blows yours out of the water, and even have infinite ki. Piccolo just stared at me. You were a complete monster when you left, and now that you've come back, you put even monsters to shame, he stated neutrally. Monsters wish they were as badass as me. I puffed my best out proudly. As it is, with how strong I am now, I could probably take on some of Super's earlier enemies. I wonder how I stack up against Golden Frieza? Anyway, I've got a bunch of people to visit, so let's hurry this up, I continued, waving my arm and forming two portals to my personal dimension, still to be named, and from them, a deluge of spiky orange fruit spilled out, forming into a pair of piles in front of Piccolo and Gohan. There you go, 30 each, enjoy. I can't believe you actually have this much of these absurd fruit, Piccolo shook his head. I don't even know how to put this into words. Just say thanks, dude, I rolled my eyes. Anyway, once you're done here, head up to Kami's lookout, will ya? The gifts don't end here, there's one more that Little Green will be giving you as well. Little Green? Piccolo gave me an odd look. You'll see later. I waved him off, and then pressed two fingers to my forehead, focused, and a second later disappeared and appeared on a familiar little island. Underscore 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 underscore. As soon as I landed on the island of Kame House, two green blurs that were darting through the air and clashing against one another stopped abruptly and then quickly shot down to kneel before me. Ichiji and Niji. They'd been training hard, I see. Both of them have a power eclipsing 10,000, and Rashi was displaying a power over 7,000 on the scouter. Man, not bad. He could slap around Nappa with that power, not even going into his ultra form. Vegeta really would have been fucked even without me coming back. A moment later, I felt as two familiar powers in the distance began to rapidly ascend and completely dwarfed their previous powers, and felt as Rashi got startled by it and rushed outside. What in Tarnadash, the old master spluttered before pausing as he saw me. Oh, this is your doing, I take it? Piccolo and Gohan's power and the way it just keeps rising? Guilty, I smiled at him. How you been, master? I bowed my head to the old bald pervert. Oh, you know, doing great, resting from training with these two veggie monsters of yours, enjoying a good little aerobics channel, then nearly crapped myself when I felt Gohan and Piccolo's power, Rashi casually explained. You know, the usual with a monster like you around. A fruit that surpasses the paradise herb, huh? The world sure is a mysterious place. Rashi shook his head, smiling ruefully. Well, alright Kakarot, I won't reject your offer. I mean, why would he? Only a complete idiot would reject boons like this. I looked at the Cybermen who were now eyeing the fruit with interested red eyes. Don't worry, there's enough fruit to go around, boys, and you'll be getting a bunch as well, I assured them. And to punctuate my statement, I waved my hand through the air and dropped 30 fruit of might in front of them, and 30 in front of Rashi. The crimson eyes of my veggie boys went wide in utter shock, and then the pair of them clasped arms and began to happily dance in a circle. Kaka. Ichiji laughed. Gaga. Niji followed suit. What weird laughs, but whatever, as long as they were happy, you know? You really weren't kidding about having a ton of them, huh? Rashi gaped at me, before grabbing one of the fruit and biting into it. Power exploded out of his form as he munched away at it and swallowed, and before my eyes, his form shrunken with old age, straightened up and grew, his thin limbs and chest exploding outwards with muscle, and before my eyes Rashi visibly became a young man again. Though he didn't regain his hair. He'd probably have to regrow that. Honestly, he looked a bit like a taller Krillin, with a nose. Oh my goodness! Rashi shouted his shock to the heavens. I feel amazing. Like a young man beating his meat for the first time. I'm back, girlies, watch out for this handsome young stud. Well, good to see he was happy. And as long as he stayed away from my women, he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. And then he began to happily devour the pile of fruit of might in front of him alongside my Cybermen, and their power grew and grew, just like Gohan and Piccolo before them. I wonder how the guys on the lookout are reacting to this. I wonder if Yamcha or Krillin shit themselves. Underscore. Piccolo, after fruit 618,621. Gohan, after fruit 637,564. Rashi, after fruit 607,139. Ichiji, after fruit 612,408. Niji, after fruit 612,179. It took quite a while for Rashi to come down from his new youthful high. He was going on and on about hitting up some whorehouses before I finally got him to calm down. I'm perfectly fine with the old man going and exploring his youth by taking some hookers to Pound Town, but I'm a busy future god and have so much shit to do. Good thing he was only too happy to comply when I threatened to cut off his balls and feed them to him. It's good for men to be rational after all. And then having Ichiji, Niji and Rashi grab a hold of each other, I held on to one of them and with instant transmission, teleported us all to Kami's lookout. Gohan and Piccolo, thankfully, had already arrived. But my fucking god, was it loud. Yamcha, Krillin and Yajirobe were totally freaking out at the massive, instant increase of strength all 5 of the ones I'd given fruit to had went through. Tien, thankfully, was as cool, calm and collected as ever, even with multiple people suddenly more than 100 times stronger than him suddenly popped up. Good guy that Tien, too bad he's asexual and only pursues the Tao of martial arts. But, I'll be sure to take good care of Launch in his place. This is incredible, Krillin uttered in awe as he circled around Master Rashi, examining his new state. You really do look like a guy in his early 20s now, and your power, it's mind-boggling. The bald man shook his head, his eyes going to the Cybermen, then Piccolo and Gohan. All of your powers are incredible, like is there even any point in us training for these Saiyan guys now, he sighed, shoulders slumping. Hey. Kakarot already said he'd give us the fruit to we'll catch up with them right quick, bro. Yamcha quickly assured. Besides, strong as they may be, according to Kakarot, that Frisia guy still makes them look weak, Tien interjected, arms crossed. As far as I'm concerned, grating as it is on my pride as a martial artist to take such an easy increase in strength, this is just a boost before getting right back to training. Don't be such a sourpuss, Tien, Yamcha rolled his eyes. That Frisia guy has no idea of Earth right now, yeah? And now we'll all be way strong enough to slap around those Saiyans. I'm thinking we'll have a bit of an easy street for once, and Kakarot probably already has a plan for Frisia anyway, right? The scar-faced man turned to me with a grin. More or less, I shrugged from where I was sitting cross-legged on the tiled flooring. The fruit isn't the end of it, you'll all get far stronger from a little something else, and you won't need to worry about Frisia, I'm far stronger than him now. See? Yamcha beamed. Kakarot has it all on weight. What? His gaze snapped back to me. Didn't you say before you left that Frisia has a power level of 120 million? Tien asked, arcing an eyebrow at me. Things went much better in some ways than I ever imagined, but worse than others, I replied with a sigh. You are right though, Tien, even though I'll be giving you all a massive power boost, you'll need to get right back into the thick of things. How come? Krillin asked. I thought this Frisia dude was like the strongest in the universe or something? Why do we need to get even stronger if you're that much stronger than him now? In the mortal world at one point maybe, I nodded, as for you guys continuing to get stronger. How does preventing our universe from getting erased sound? Utter silence met me at my words. Ha? Krillin gaped, the only one that made a sound. I took the chance to get to the meat of the topic. Look, things are a lot more complicated than you guys know. There's so many gods in this universe you don't even know the half of it, I explained. Even Kami only knows up to the Supreme Kai, the guy responsible for all life and shit in the universe, but above that guy is what's known as the God of Destruction, basically the ruling authority of our universe. Again, utter silence met my words and lingered for a good 30 seconds. The Destroyer God, I have heard rumors, but I did not think it to be true, Kami mused, stroking his chin. Is this threat pertaining to them? Are they perhaps going to destroy us all? Nope, they're just a lazy-ass temperamental cat, I waved him off. The real problem is that above even the God of Destruction is the Omni King, the creator of the universe and all other universes. To my knowledge there are currently 12 universes including ours. And is this guy evil? Krillin hesitantly asked, the scope of things are getting kind of hard to handle here, bro. I'm not sure I want to even consider the opportunity we'd have to fight a guy like that. Oi, idiot, stop interrupting, Piccolo huffed, having kept his silence up until now. Let him finish, you're just dragging it all out. Krillin flinched at Piccolo's rebuke and nodded timidly. To answer your question, Krillin, no, the Omni King is so far above us even I can't tell how strong he is. I answered anyway. No, the problem he poses is that he holds each universe to a certain standard, a level if you will, and if a universe is under that level for a certain period of time, he'll erase the entire universe and consider it a failure. I looked around into each and every single one of their eyes, and thanks to Frisia and a bunch of ancient threats from long in the past, we of Universe 7 are currently ranked as the weakest of all the universes. Once again, silence met my words, but the looks of shock that appeared on their faces were more than enough. Not one of them had the stones to speak up, even Piccolo was gaping at me, horrified. So uncle, what do we do then? All except Gohan, that is. The best you guys can do is get stronger. I smiled at him gently. He was still just a toddler, but he had a backbone to him most of the others only wished they could have. I'm already working on plans to bring the mortal level up. One of that is the strength of the people in the universe. The one thing I want you guys to pursue is getting strong enough to the point where your sheer existence literally drags this universe up the ratings. Cool, so no pressure then, just get strong enough to carry a whole universe our backs. That sounds simple. Krillin nodded reasonably, as if. Are you crazy? Calm down, virgin. I rolled my eyes and he choked and spluttered, before deflating. Look, going by your average human, Roshi, Piccolo, Gohan and the Cybermen are all worth like 200 to 300,000 humans, and by the end of the day will increase exponentially. When you put it like that, we sound way bigger and important than we really are. Yamcha grimaced. I'm really not. I rolled my eyes. As far as the average human is concerned, when you're done with the fruit alone, you may as well be the gods that rule over their very existence. That shut Yamcha up quickly, and nobody else dared to speak up to refute the statement. The fact of the matter is, a small group can make up for the uselessness of entire planets, I mused, then waved my hand, opening up a series of portals in front of Yamcha, Krillin, Tien, Kaiatsu, Yajirobe, Kami and Popo. Now let's get a move on, shall we? I really am quite busy, guys, so much to do, so little time. I need to go see King Yama about becoming guardian of my own little world now to push my own strength gain plans along, visit the original and give him his own fruit with King Kai and go beat up and recruit a much more reasonable and cooler lizard than the one I plan to kill. Honestly, it was all work with me. Hopefully, a year down the line will be enough time for me to retire to the NET life I so desire. Whoop, food. While everyone else was gaping at the pile of fruits that appeared in front of them, Yajirobe happily began to dig in, prompting the others to do so as well. And before my eyes, they went from scrub tier to still scrub tier. Oh, that reminds me, I mused, holding my hand out and forming a portal, allowing a golden fruit to fall into my hand. Here Gohan, it's best if you take this first, it'll probably be useless to you later if I don't. Gohan's potential was just that mind-boggling. I'm fairly sure he'll shoot right up past Frieza once Den unlocks his potential, especially since Den's abilities have all grown amazingly in the past 6 months. Okay. Gohan nodded, biting into the fruit, and then his eyes widened as his power spiked massively, doubling in strength. The reactions of everyone around me were full of cheer and happiness. Despite the heavy news I just dropped on them, the sheer massive increase of strength they just went through could not be underestimated from their eyes. I remember back in the day when I was a weak young fucker like them back in my younger days of 6 months ago. Every time I saw a significant jump in my power, was cause for celebration. What was with the golden fruit? Piccolo asked while everyone else was celebrating. It pretty much doubled Gohan's power. If what you said is true, why not just give them to all of us? Because once you reach a certain point, they don't increase your power anymore and you can only use one, I replied. With what I'm doing next, Gohan's power would most likely have broken the threshold easily and not be able to use them. Logical. Piccolo grunted, but there was still a scowl on his face. I can understand, after all, the 4-year-old kid he was training as his apprentice was far stronger than him now. You'd still win, you know. Just because he's stronger than you doesn't mean he knows how to use it. He needs to be trained properly, I assured him. Humph, he does still have a long way to go. Piccolo smirked at my words. Make sure to raise him well, I added. Gohan's potential is greater even than you realize. There's only 2 others in this entire universe with potential that can match his. Is one of them you? Piccolo asked, curious. Nope, I don't even come close, I snorted in amusement. Honestly, if Gohan had went through everything I have so far, he'd blow my power out of the water. He's just that special. Honestly, if Gohan was the one to get God Ki in the original timeline, and became Super Saiyan Blue later, he probably would have clapped Jiren and surpassed Beerus. As it was, even with just his ultimate form, he was a match for Golden Frieza by time the Tournament of Power came around. Strictly speaking, once I have the time, Gohan is going to be one of my trump cards. I won't allow him to be ruined in this timeline and waste that potential. We all have to make sacrifices. For me, it was not being able to retire to my NET life already. For Gohan, he was going to have to make that scholar rubbish a hobby. Their glee over their strength increase, mostly Yamcha and Krillin, dragged on for far longer than was really worth celebrating. I didn't even celebrate that much when I became a Super Saiyan, for fuck's sake. Alright, enough already, I shouted, stopping them in their tracks, making the 2 freeze and everyone quiet down and turn their attention back to me. Finally, they were getting annoying. Tien nodded to me. Come now, Kakarot. Kami, younger than ever and looking almost identical to Piccolo, now raised his hands to calm me down. They're just happy due to the strength increase they've gained. There's no need to get worked up. Oh, shut up, Fossil, Piccolo snorted. Kakarot has things to do, remember? He's busy, he can't stick around watching idiots prance around. Frankly, I'm right there with him. I want to get this show on the road and meditate on all this, so will you all just grow up a bit and let him finish? Kami grimaced at the lecture from his younger counterpart, but didn't speak up, which was good, and Krillin and Yamcha were quick to utter some mumbled apologies. Good. I waved my hand, forming another portal, opening up before a much younger, smaller Namekian than the 2 present. Hey Dend, can you help me out here? I asked. Ah, okay, Kakarot. Den nodded quickly and hopped out of the portal. Oh, the lookout, he smiled, looking around. It's like a mini Piccolo. Krillin gasped. Shut it. Piccolo glared, quieting the bald man down again, then turned his attention to Den, giving him a brief nod. Den was used to Piccolo in the other timeline, so just nodded back, then bowed politely to Kami. Hello Kami, my name is Dend, it's a pleasure to meet you officially. Ah, you too, young Dend. Kami smiled warmly at him in greeting. I rolled my eyes. Dend, can I trust you to unlock these guys' potential for me? I asked. I need to get a move on myself. Let me be honest, I don't really care for all these idiots besides Gohan, Tien, and Piccolo. All these other guys? They're Goku's buddies, not mine. I'd rather get a move on and do my shit and get it done and dusted with, than hang around with these fools. That's fine, Kakarot, I can handle it. Dend assured me. Right, then I'll catch you all later then. I nodded, pressing 2 fingers to my forehead. Thankfully, I already knew how to get to Otherworld. I learned how when I got Piccolo and Kami's knowledge of key manipulation. As Den had them all line up one by one so he could release their inner potential, I teleported away and arrived on a massive stone bridge hovering over a sky of golden clouds. Otherworld baby. Underscore 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 underscore. After potential unlock. Piccolo battle power, 108,258,675. Gohan battle power, 624,812,720. Rashi battle power, 59,499,622. Ichiji battle power, 60,015,984. Niji battle power, 59,993,542. Yamcha battle power, 50,971,788. Tien battle power, 59,597,230. Krillin battle power, 59,507,560. Yajirobe battle power, 93,327,388. Kaiatsu battle power, 42,391,440. Popo battle power, 63,136,500. Kami battle power, 105,040,250. Chapter 23. You know, the place is kinda nice, I have to admit as I walked along the bridge leading to a large mansion-like buildings. The sky above is in the shade of burnt orange, almost gold, just like the clouds hovering beneath the bridge. Maybe I should look into a setup like this in my world? I mean, I gotta be honest, bright blue just is so not my thing. If I'm going blue, I prefer a dark blue, like the color of the flag of one of my past lives' home country. It's why Super Saiyan Blue is obviously trash compared to Super Saiyan 4. One has crimson fur with a burnt orange gold energy, the other is a bright, blinding cyan blue, everywhere. Just thinking of looking out of that kind of aura all around me makes me shudder, it'd like give me a constant headache. Granted, blue looks good on some things, like my sexy awesome girlfriend. Just, not a Super Saiyan transformation bro. As I made my way down the bridge, I passed by hundreds of soul wisps of the dearly departed, and many of a blue-skinned ogre. Funnily, not a single one stopped me to ask me about something. Maybe because I have my body they just think I'm free to come and go as I please? Well, whatever, not my problem. A few minutes of strolling was all it took for me to reach my destination and I made my way into King Yema's office, the checkout station. My eyes immediately went to the man in charge of judging the dearly departed. God, he huge. Titanic even, he had to be a good 300 feet tall or more. You'd think he'd be stronger though, you know, with his occupation. But the scouter is telling me, the exact measurement of his battle power is only 2,600. Granted, even a battle power over 1,000 is apparently in the top 5 percentile of Universe 7, so maybe it's not that bad actually? Or maybe Universe 7 is really just that pathetic nowadays. Well, whatever, I'll fix that soon. As King Yema finished up with one soul and sent them on their way, I skipped the rest of the line and stepped up in front. Goku? Yema blinked, giving me a confused glance. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you still be with King Kai right now? Don't tell me you fell down to the standard hell again? I'm not Goku, I replied, my name's Kakarot, I'm his clone created by Kami. Kami? Yema's nose drew up in distaste. That fool, always doing such stupid things, he grumbled, and began flicking through a massive book beside him. Ah, here we are, Kakarot, strictly speaking, you're less than a year old, huh? Yema mused, apparently reading my information off of the book. Your karma rating is quite good, better than good, your way in the green. Heck, you already have hero status and will be able to keep your body if you die, good on you boy. Huh, how did that happen? Like, I've not actually done that much good, have I? I mean, I murdered Tao and perved on Bulma like straight away, What exactly qualified me for hero status? Well, thanks Oh, what's this? Yema's eyes suddenly widened. You're not under my jurisdiction? Seems you have a connection to a higher power? Seems one of the higher-ups have claim for you and the Supreme Kai at that. Wait, what? I've not even fucking met Shin or done anything that could have clued him into me considering how ignorant he is. Unless he sensed me when I transformed that first time back on Namek and he sensed me then? Strictly speaking, back then I should have been stronger than the main timeline Gohan against Cell as a Super Saiyan 2, which was what originally clued Shin in if I remember right. Or maybe it's Kranoa? After all, she did tell me all I needed to do was call for her and she would hear me and come. Well, questions for later I suppose. Well, no need for me to worry over you I suppose, Yema mused, closing the book over and looking back down at me. So what can I help you with, Kakarot? Make it snappy, will you? I'm a busy man and that punk Frisia just got his jollies blowing up another planet, low population, or not, I need to be fast if I want to break it all today. You know, I really don't envy his job. Gonberry Yemachan. Well, I'll try not to take up much of his time. Right, I'll be quick, I promised. I recently came into a planet of my own, it's connected to my energy and growing from it in a dimension connected to me. I want to become the guardian of it. Is that so? Yema didn't even act surprised. Well, I can do that much for you, I just need to get a look at it for a bit. Well, that was simple enough. I waved my hand and opened up a large portal as high up as he was tall while sitting down, displaying the landscape of my personal dimension. I opened it at random really, so what was displayed was a wide open grassland with many a creature running around. My eyes landed on one humongous T-Rex casually walking across the grasslands and curiosity getting the better of me since I haven't checked on them in a while. I tapped my scouter and checked it out. 11,912. Not bad at all. See, I had a little experiment going on. More or less, I drained a ton of fruit from the Tree of Might into a bunch of lakes, rivers, and the ocean itself that had formed. I wanted to see if I could let species of a planet growing stronger passively, just by messing with their food and drink supply. Maybe it'll be worth putting into action soon. The thing about the mortal level, it was pretty much threefold. Zeno's monitoring of them was on 3 categories. The overall strength of the universe, the living conditions and the population. Right now, I could only really deal with the overall strength, but living conditions should improve for a race when their longevity and sheer strength were increased massively, right? I mean, this T-Rex alone, assuming nothing kills it, will probably live a few hundred years. Ho, King Yema hummed, and I noticed, his eyes had taken on a golden gleam as he peered into the portal. Not bad at all. The wildlife alone are quite impressive, and while the sentient population is low, the technology of this world is leaps and bounds ahead of most planets. Was that the same technique I got from Kami for watching over entire worlds? I hadn't really tried it out much, maybe I should. It looked pretty handy. I wonder, could I find Boo's prison with that? Well, if you want to take up the occupation, I see no reason why you cannot. Yema shrugged, and reached into his drawer. When he pulled his hand back out, he held a tiny little fragment of light between his thumb and pointer finger. If it weren't for how absurd I am, I wouldn't even be able to see it. Here, by my authority, I grant you the honor of being the overseer and god of this planet. And then he tossed the little ball of light at me. It flew down and struck me in the chest, before phasing right into me. I shuddered as I felt it aligning with my ki and seeping deep into it, a tiny little spark that I probably wouldn't have noticed at all, if not for my experience when I first came across the spark of Super Saiyan Ki within me months ago thanks to the ultra-divine water. Perhaps it gave me more insight into sensing things within myself? After all, back in the day, it was what allowed Goku to learn how to sense Ki freely. So this is God Ki, huh? It's so tiny an amount I can't do anything with it right now, but I'll fix that soon. Actually, now that I'm taking the time to look within myself. There is another spark that I had not noticed before, a fizzling bolt of green lightning like ki that I've never seen before. It reminds me of Broly. Perhaps, because I turned him into a fruit and ate him? Is this the ki of the legendary Super Saiyan? I'll need to look into that later. And I'll need to hold off on transforming for a little while until I make sure it hasn't made me into an utter rage machine in my Super Saiyan states. God me fucking damn it. It's like something always pops up to give me more fucking work to do. Right, so you're the god of that world now. I'm sure knowing Kami you know what's expected of you, Yema mused, interrupting my thoughts. Now is there anything else Kakarot, or can I get on with my busy annoying workload? Thanks, and sorry but there is one little thing. I ran a hand through my spiky black hair. Can you tell me what my family are up to right now? Where they are in Otherworld, the Science Raditz, Jine, and Bardock. That's right, those three are your family are they not? Annoyances, the lot of them, Yema huffed. Jine is in heaven, she had enough karma to avoid hell upon the destruction of planet Vegeta. The Scion Bardock ended up thrown through a temporal rift and died over 1,000 years ago, but through continuous effort, good deeds and penance he managed to earn the right to join his wife in heaven, even giving up the chance to keep his body and train in the hero's paradise. Well, that's good I suppose. At the very least, they're happy. And I guess, father ended up back in time and fought Chilled in this universe. Good for him, he became a Super Saiyan. But, I'm mostly relieved mother never went to hell, she was far too kind and soft to go there. I can't really meet them now, but I suppose knowing they're enjoying their afterlife together is relieving and good enough for me. And Raditz? I asked, though I've got a good idea. He's probably being bullied down in hell. Yema winced. That I can't give you an answer for, he replied. You see, the Scion Raditz, because of the incompetency of my staff, actually managed to escape hell and we've currently lost track of him. He's kept a rather low profile since then. Wait, what? Raditz, my brother Raditz, who had all the strength of a newborn Cyberman, escaped hell. When even fucking Frieza, Cell, and shit couldn't. Man, I guess he really is my brother, huh? Only badasses related to me could do shit like that. Wait, actually, now that I think about. Didn't Raditz escape hell in one of the games as well? One of the Budokai ones I'm sure. And, he ended up shacking with that ginger snake chick that tried to seduce Goku. I can't remember how he escaped though. Heh, guess those in charge didn't keep their eye on the birdie. Thanks Yema, I'll see you later. I bowed my head in gratitude to the massive ogre and made my way out. Yema merely grunted and tossed me a short wave, before diving right back into his workload. Once I got outside the checkout station I stepped to the side of the path and pressed 2 fingers against my forehead and spread my senses out. If Yema can't find Raditz, I probably won't be able to. But I know an idiot who can point me in the right direction thankfully. And all I had to do was look for a power akin to my own. And look, there it is. Pitifully weak in comparison to mine, though, surprisingly, stronger than Piccolo and Gohan's were before I juiced them up on fruit. The fuck? An instant later, I slipped through dimensions and appeared on a tiny little green planet right next to the power. Whoa! A familiar voice yelped in shock and I turned around to see someone who looked like a taller, lamer, less built version of me in orange, flat on his ass and gaping at me. You look just like me. Son Goku gaped. My hand twitched with the desire to erase him from existence. I did not, and instead merely measured his power level. 21,250. How the fuck? He should only be approaching 8,000 at this point. How did he get so much stronger than the original timeline when he's been too far away for my actions to affect? Hello Goku. I sighed, reining in the desire to punch his face in. Hello, you, he greeted me back confusedly as he pushed himself up. Sorry, have we met before? You could say that, I shrugged, then smirked. Think back to your training with Mr. Popo, I used to beat you up for fun. Goku blinked, confused before his eyes widened. Wait, that doll thing? He gaped. One and the same, I nodded. I was brought to life by Kami with the Dragon Balls to save everyone and be the big damn hero if you weren't up to the task. Huh, my clone, I think I saw a movie like that once with Bulma. He tapped his cheek, before shrugging. Nice to meet you again, I guess? I mean, you didn't talk at all back then. I wasn't alive then. I shrugged. Guess so. Goku laughed. So what brings you here, me? Call me Kakarot, I remember actually being a Scion after all, I replied. As for why I'm here, well, to sum it up, I'm here to increase your strength for you with these. I swiped my hand through the air, opening a portal to my world and letting 20 more fruit of might fall out in a pile. Goku eyed the fruit for a moment before waving his hand through the air at me. "That's awful nice of you, Air Kakarot, but I'll pass." He refused my kind offer. "I kinda already went through that with King Yema's fruit, and while that was cool, I'd rather not to do it again, you know? Where's the challenge and excitement of getting that power myself instead of just having it given to me? It's boring." "You know, I somewhat expected that. It's not up for debate. You're eating these fruit and getting stronger, even if I have to beat your ass like my red-headed stepchild and force-feed you them through a tube." I sneered. At the very least, I now know how he's stronger than his main counterpart. He doubled his power with Yema's fruit and had way more stamina after that, and so he reached King Kai much earlier. "That so? And you think you can do that?" Goku's eyes narrowed and he slid into the turtle stance, preparing for a fight. "From what I can sense, you're not even half as strong as me." "Because I'm hiding my energy obviously," I snorted. "You aren't even worth 1% of my power, clown." "You think so?" "Now you've got me curious." His voice alight with eagerness, Goku shot towards me. "Kaioken X2, he shouted, powering up straight away, a crimson-red aura exploding out of his body. He must actually be taking my words seriously from the get-go. His power quickly doubled in scope, rising to 42,500. Impressive really for him, considering he hasn't been affected by my shenanigans at all. He would be well capable of crushing Vegeta and Nappa without issue. With a shout, he closed the distance between us and punched me square in the face with all his might. I barely even felt it, and the force couldn't even turn my face. His eyes widened. "X3. He shouted, his power increasing exponentially once more, and he began to lay a barrage of punches into my face and chest. 63,750. He was really much more used to the Kaioken in this timeline than the main one, huh? Guess some extra time with King Kai went a long way. Honestly though, it felt like a child poking me gently. Bored now. I deadpanned and let my power rise to its maximum in my base state, no longer hiding it. Goku outright stopped attacking me in shock at the power he felt coming from me. And then I raised my finger up and I flicked him on the chest. King Kai's planet shook like a meteor had just collided with it, a thunderous boom echoing across the area. It only lasted for but a moment, but when it was over, Goku lay before me in a massive crater, his neck bent to the side and broken, his chest caved in and all of his limbs bent in odd directions. You know something? That felt good. Cathartic even. Though, I should probably do something about this before he actually dies again and gets erased out of existence. Sigh. The heck is going on out here? The door to King Kai's house burst open and the squat little blue god came rushing out, only to stop and gape as he saw me. Who the heck are you? King Kai gaped, and what's with that ridiculous power? I ignored him and walked over to Goku. I didn't have any sense of beans on me, but thankfully, King Cold was ever so generous to donate his skill with healing to me. Goku! King Kai cried, rushing over to the downed original. What happened to you, kid? He fretted worriedly over him. Rolling my eyes, I extended my hand and let ki seep out from out in a wave, washing over Goku's form and healing his injuries. It wasn't a senza bean, but it got the job done, and before our eyes, Goku began to heal, though King Kai could have probably done without the snapping sounds as his limbs were yanked back into place by my ki. Guy, who are you? Why do you look like Goku and why the heck are you so strong? Why did you come up here and just beat the crap out of him like this and are now healing him? King Kai rapid fire rattled off questions at me that I honestly couldn't be bothered answering right now. I was more focused on Goku's power as he healed and Zenkai'd before my eyes and senses. It exploded upwards massively and completely dwarfed his previous power more than 20 times over. My scouter was very handy for getting an exact reading as well. 1,168,750. That's Scion ability. But, I've never seen it cause this much growth before. King Kai spluttered. Whatever, I have to keep good on my promise now, don't I? I lifted my hand and grasped all 30 fruit from the tree of might I dropped on the ground and they floated up into the air due to my telekinesis. And then I smoothed them all together into a massive pulpy liquid. I twitched my finger, and the unconscious Goku's mouth was forced open, and King Kai yelped as I force-fed the pulpy fruit of power down his throat through a straw of telekinetic power. That counted, right? His power spiked and rose again as he digested the pulped fruit, and I decided, yes, indeed it counted. I could have magically conjured a straw, of course, but I'm too lazy for that nonsense. 1,768,750. Honestly, he should be thanking me for this kind of growth. He's just grown near 100 times stronger in less than 5 minutes. What good is pride in the face of that, the idiot? I don't even know what's going on anymore, King Kai sighed, collapsing on his backside as he witnessed his student grow even stronger. And you haven't answered a single question, kid. I'm a busy man, King Kai, I shrugged. I'll just let him explain it to you. I added on. With that said, I walked over and crouched down over the unconscious original. I found myself less angry at him now that I'd got to crush him like a bug. I'd love to do it again, mind you. Well, whatever. I pressed 2 fingers to his head and slipped into his mind and pursued through his memories, just as Kami had taught him, and I'd learned from my wish in the other timeline. It was quite easy to find where Princess Snake's palace was, and while I was at it, I dumped the basic gist of what I was up to into his mind, the same as I told the others back at Kami's lookout. Later, King Kai. I bid the North Kai goodbye and jumped into the air and flew away before he could say anything else. Strictly speaking, it didn't take me long at all to find Princess Snake's castle. I mean, it was literally right along the path of Snake Way. A few minutes of flying at max speed and I found it easily, just sitting there floating right beside the pathway leading between King Kai's planet and the checkout station. Dropping out of the air, I landed in front of the massive castle's front doors and knocked, hard. Sure, it may have sounded like a couple of cannons going off, but hey, gotta make sure they hear me in such a big-ass place. Less than a minute later, the doors swung open and standing behind them was a pretty blue-skinned brunette. Hello, how can I help you? She greeted me calmly. I'm here to see Princess Snake. I replied simply. She grimaced lightly. It was only there for an instant, but I caught it. I'm sorry, but Princess Snake isn't taking any visitors right now. I can try and make you an appointment if you'd like, she replied. She is very busy, you see. You know something odd? I can't sense this chick's power at all. Interesting. If I can't sense her power while she's right in front of me, well, wouldn't it make sense for someone who escaped hell and can't be sensed to be here where this kind of thing goes down? Good for her, I shrugged and walked inside, ignoring her as he tried to block me. Oh, my eyebrows rose as I continued my way inside, ignoring the brunette now trying and failing to push me back and getting carried along by my chest. As soon as I stepped over the threshold, I could suddenly sense this girl. And 4 others who felt just like her. And another key, stronger than all the other ones, yet vastly weaker than my own, that stood out from them all. Skipping out of hell for some ginger booty, huh? Well, I can't blame him. Though, if I was going after a ginger, I'd just let out Bojack and his crew and kill them except for Xanya. I followed my way towards the power I sensed, through the wide sweeping corridors of the castle, ignoring the brunette trying to stop me all along the way. And surprise, surprise. I found myself in a massive dining hall, my eyes landing on 2 figures, both sitting together at the edge of a long-ass table. A curvy blue-skinned ginger lady leaning on the table, sighing lovingly at the large, muscular, extremely long-haired man stuffing his face at a rapid pace. Hello, brother. I greeted with a smirk, squashing the happiness I felt surging up. They both jumped at my sudden voice, Raditz almost choking on the food. Goku. Princess Snake gaped at me. Kakarot. Raditz spluttered, mouth hanging low. Ding, 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 correct on the second try, I replied, making my way over. How you doing, brother? I'm sorry, my lady. He refused to stop and barged his way in, and I could not stop him. The brunette bowed deeply and apologized. Princess Snake waved her off, while Raditz growled at me. So did they send you looking for me then, Kakarot? He sneered, lifting his hand, crimson red key forming into a sphere. I won't be going back to hell, little brother, and I'm far stronger than when we last met. That so? I raised a brow. Honestly, he was so weak I couldn't tell the difference. I used my scouter and scanned his power. 2,417. He had gotten stronger. Odd though, I thought those bound for hell couldn't get stronger in the afterlife? Or was it because he escaped out of hell he got rid of that problem? Not bad, I praised him lightly, not Greg mind you, but the fact he got stronger at all is good I guess, though. Do calm down Raditz, I'm not the same brother you faced before, can't you tell? Raditz grimaced, looking me over, but not lowering his glowing key-engulfed hand. You do look different, you're shorter, but much bulkier and your skin is much less pale. You look quite like father now actually, he nodded grudgingly. I'm the true Kakarot, one who remembers our roots as a scion, just in a different body from that other fool, Goku. I helpfully supplied. Raditz's face scrunched up in confusion. What nonsense are you blabbering about, he grunted, before shaking his head. Whatever, I don't care. State your business, little brother. Why have you come looking for me if not to drag me back to hell? I came to check up on my older brother, nothing more, nothing less, I replied, not really the warm, touchy-feeling atmosphere I might have liked, but this is expected. I found out where mother and father are by the way, they're both in heaven if you can believe it. Raditz snorted, mother in heaven, I can believe, but that hard-ass father? He has killed even more than me, there's no way. Believe it if you will or not, I shrugged, I was just coming to make sure you were doing okay and if you were in hell, I was going to wish you back to life with the Dragon Balls. Raditz gave me an odd look. Is that so? He murmured lightly, before sighing and suddenly slumping into his seat. I thank you for the offer then, brother, but I'm afraid I'll have to decline. Really? My eyes rose in surprise. Go back to what? A world without our race? Our parents dead? The only others of our race that buffoon Nappa and asshole Vegeta. He shook his head. No, I'm happier here now, happier than I've been in a long term. He flashed a quick smile at Princess Snake, and she gently grasped his hand as they stared into each other's eyes. Well, okay then. Now I totally feel like a third wheel. Fair enough, brother, I chuckled lightly, but let me leave you with a gift at least. There's no need, Kakarot, I have all I need here. Raditz waved me off. It'll make me feel better at least. I replied, and before he could say anything, I opened up a portal and dropped a deluge of fruit of might on the table, 30 of them in total. Eating just one of these fruit will raise your battle power by 20,000, more than Vegeta has. There's 30 in total, you can do what you want with them. Raditz gaped at the fruits for a moment, before shaking his head and calming down. I would have called bullshit on such a thing just mere months ago, he sighed. Perhaps I'll pay a visit to hell one day a year or two from now? If you so casually can drop 30 of these out for me, I can only imagine the strength you have now. Frieza has a battle power of 120 million and it's trash compared to me. I helpfully supplied. That did it. Raditz burst out into laughter and separated from his love, making his way over to me, laughing all the way. Then I can rest easy then, knowing that the legacy of we Scions is safe in your hands, brother. He stopped laughing as he reached me and held his hand out for me to take. I did, and we clasped hands, tightening our grips. I suppose this is goodbye for good then, brother. I mused. Possibly, but our paths split long ago, little brother. You have your own story to go through. I've done a lot of thinking the past few months, and this meeting has put everything into perspective. Raditz smiled at me, a true genuine smile that he seemed to have only reserved for Princess Snake. We Scions have failed, but not you, Kakarot. Not even the sky is the limit for you, it seems. I'll be keeping an ear out to hear of the legends told of you in the future, the legendary Super Saiyan. My brows furrowed. How did you know I'm a Super Saiyan? I asked, confused. I just had a feeling, Raditz chuckled, seeing you, the spitting image of father, sauntering around the afterlife as if you own it, so casually saying that monster Frieza is trash before you and not merely bluffing like Vegeta. Truly, if anyone could become the legendary Super Saiyan, it would be a son of Bardock and my brother. The beaming pride he shot at me actually hurt me a little. Raditz nodded at me once more, let go of my hand and clapped me on the shoulder. And nothing else needed to be said. I nodded back in understanding, and turned around and walked away, sorry for the bother. I apologized to the brunette and left the castle behind. The castle doors slammed shut behind me as I left, and I stopped to stare up at the golden sky of Otherworld. How ironic that Raditz is the content one. I sighed wistfully. He had basically what I wanted, but couldn't let myself enjoy right now. But soon days, that I vowed. But to do that, I need to get around my own hang-ups. And the first step on that journey is fixing my control issues. And there's only two people in this universe that can help me with that right now. One really, since the other can't access his true power. I touched 2 fingers to my forehead and I focused, spreading my senses out across the very expanse of Universe 7 itself. This would have been impossible to do just a few hours ago. I knew how to sense God Ki thanks to the knowledge I got from Piccolo and Kami, but I lacked the fuel to trigger that ability. Now, lacking in amount as it was, I had said fuel. Chapter 24. Well, I did remember something I had to take care of before I went off to see a certain cat owner. I took a quick trip back to Earth after locating who I was looking for and dropped off both Bulma and Bulla on Earth. It had been over 6 months since Bulma had been home after all. I actually thought Bulla would be against it and stomp her feet a bit until I gave her a spanking into submission, but she was actually quite eager to finally meet her grandparents. The only one sticking with me really was Cell. But he was keeping an eye on my ever-growing death bomb for me, so yeah. With that taken care of, I spread my ki sense out once again through the vast expanse of the universe and locked onto that strange, yet absurdly potent ki I was looking for. It could only be Whis. I hope. It could also be Meru's, I guess. But hey, if it's that dude, he can probably point me in the right direction anyway. A moment later, I slipped into a state between light and matter as I had many times before to teleport across vast distances. Only, as I did, there was a sudden, harsh yank on me that pulled me off course. There was a sound like shattering glass in my ears as I rematerialized an instant later in full physical form. You've got to be fucking kidding me. I ground my teeth in exasperated annoyance. Because I found myself suddenly within a massive void-like space. It would have been pitch black, if not for the massive row upon rows of huge, floating crystals extending as far as the eye can see in all directions. A crack in time. Just like the place Demigra had been sealed. This seriously better not be who I think this is punking me again. I resisted the urge to just start blasting. I took a deep breath, the only sound at all within this vast space at all. How empty did a place need to be of life, for a single exhale to echo? Come out. I ordered evenly, crossing my arms. I couldn't sense anything, but that didn't mean shit when I was dealing with an idiot like Fu. My, you are a brave one, aren't you? A throaty, smoky female voice echoed in response to my demand. I resisted the urge to let my eyes widen and show my surprise, not Fu then. I corrected myself. A split moment later, one of the huge floating crystals split apart, sending millions of glinting shards exploding in all directions and revealing 2 figures to me. One, a curvaceous blue-skinned, white-haired babe dressed in incredibly tight, form-fitting red spandex, while beside her was a tall, muscular blue-skinned and spiky white-haired man. Tawa. And her walking, talking petri dish of a dildo, Mira. And also the parents of that fuckface Fu. And now that they had appeared, I could suddenly sense their energy. Tawa's power was not even a tenth of my current base power, while Mira's was about half again as strong as my own, if not a bit more. It was obvious they were suppressing their power though. The hell do you want, woman? I demanded, rolling my eyes. I'm a busy scion, I don't have time to stop for every clown who wants to talk to me, no matter how nice her hair is. It is quite lovely, isn't it? Tawa hummed, idly toying with a strand of her hair, though that clown comment isn't very nice. I am a forgiving woman though, so I'll let that little insult slide for now. As she spoke, her boy toy didn't make a single move at all. He just stared at me, straight in the eye, completely impassive. Forgiving, sure, I snorted, staring the blue cunt right back in the eyes. Now get to the point, and tell your little boy toy that him staring at me like this is beginning to annoy me. So better stop before I rip out his larynx and shove it up his ass. It was like he was challenging me to some form of establishing dominance. Still, despite my words, Mira did not react or look away. You'll have to forgive Mira, he has a bit of a hard time controlling himself around those he thinks are powerful. Tawa just smiled genially at me. My name is Tawa, and you are Kakarot, correct? I grunted. Excellent, you see Kakarot, as I'm sure you're no doubt aware due to that fabulous ring you have around your finger, me and my companion here are not from this timeline, Tawa continued on, and or rather I have come for an offer for you. I stayed silent and she took that as her cue to continue. You see, There are many ways to gain substantial increases in power, one of those is changing history. Yeah, I cut her off, already knowing where this was going. She was trying to recruit me. So I had a rough idea of what Tawa I was dealing with now. Well, Fu was already proof enough I was in Xenoverse 2 territory anyway, unless this offer of yours ends with you on your knees, with those fat demon's tits wrapped around my cock and slurping on my knob end. I've got no interest in your little time break nonsense. Tawa twitched and I felt her ki spike massively, for a split moment rising over 100 times the strength she was keeping it at to meet me. What a rude, disgusting little boy, she spat, before shaking her head. No matter, while it will be a little rougher, your compliance isn't completely needed, the voluptuous demoness added on, waving her hand through the air, and in her grasp appeared a bone-white mask, with a glowing infinity symbol at the top. Oh, so now she wanted to mind control me? I've got your compliance right here, demon slut. I grinned savagely at her and crudely grabbed at my crotch. I'll clap those fat blue cheeks of yours so hard, you'll forget the name of that walking dildo beside you. I did not take well to people literally dragging me into a rift in time and adding even more to my busy schedule. And to think, I had just been in a really good mood a few minutes ago. Mira! Tawa bared her teeth angrily, beat him until he begs for mercy. Finally, Mira made a move, uncrossing his arms and smirking. Negotiation seems to have failed. Good, he mused. This will be a good chance to test out my new and improved power. Don't go crying when you die attempting to tango with the big boss monkey, demon boy. I jutted my chin at him challengingly. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Tawa over here. I'll make sure she comes to love riding my ultimate Shinran all night long. Why would Tawa want to ride the red Shinran? Mira asked in puzzlement, before snorting. No matter, I care little for this prattle. With a shout, he launched himself through the air towards me at a rapid speed. He led with a massive aura-enhanced punch, the aura working as a feint to hide exactly where he was aiming on me. I recognized it. It was one of Vegeta's little moves I picked up on thanks to my wish for knowledge on key techniques in the future timeline. Too bad for him, he grunted a mere moment later when I was suddenly just behind him, slamming the butt of my elbow into the back of his neck. The aura immediately cut off from around him and he gave a gargle of pain despite the current difference in our strength and fell down deeper into the void below. After all, his power wasn't so high right now that I couldn't hurt him in my base form. I leveled a flat, unimpressed look at Tawa. Seriously, is that it? I asked, deadpan. Honestly, I was mostly joking before, but maybe you should just give up and take up a position as a harem girl for me, at least then you'd be accomplishing something. Because, that right there? That was pathetic. You froze time for a second there. Tawa glared at me. Do you think you're smart? Yes, actually. I shrugged. She visibly grimaced in anger at my utter disregard for her, and she glared down into the void below. Mira. Stop playing around. Go full strength and crush him, she demanded. Oh no, because I've never heard that be dash. I made to mock her again, but as I did, there was a roar from below me and Myra's power exploded upwards exponentially. Only, to be honest, even then, it wasn't that impressive. My scouter gave me an accurate read of his new power in just a moment of time. I didn't even need to press anything. Thanks to my connection with the big NET system, I could operate it by thought. 250 billion. 250 billion. Amazing compared to most, but paltry compared to my full power. Not a threat at all. If I could safely use my full power, that was. Because, that green spark within me? That wasn't there until just a little while ago. Just after I munched Broly, to be specific. I'm thinking. I think I may have inadvertently become a legendary Super Saiyan. You know, the guy that raged out of control all the damn time and couldn't control fuck all of his power properly? And I'm currently stuck in a crack in time. I have no idea where I'd end up if I started raging around here. This could be a problem. I mused, just as a massive concentrated beam of ki launched up towards me from below. I opened my mouth and slurped it up like a wet noodle. Rah! I spat it right back out down at Mira and I felt a startled panic in his aura as he quickly dodged. Can't you see I'm thinking right now? I huffed in annoyance. A moment later, Mira exploded upwards, a raging aura of dark purple energy surrounding his form. I could see his movements easily. I'm used to a much higher level at my strongest, thank you very much. keeping up with that speed right now? Not so much. He led with another heavy punch that I lashed out and hit at the wrist, making it go over my shoulder, before he unleashed a bevy of blindingly fast, full-on brutal punches head-on. He was all brute power, little finesse. Thousands of punches were thrown at me in the span of just a few seconds. I parried and deflected what I could, but only got about a third of them, and was lain into pretty badly. The final punch of them all caught me in the cheek and I felt my jaw shatter and I saw stars as my neck was brutally snapped and I was sent flying back, smashing through dozens of crystal pillars and coming to stop in another, cratering halfway into it. Hee, not so big now are you, boya? Tawa landed above my prone body, leering down at my prone and broken form with glee-filled eyes. Not even a Super Saiyan form? How sad, but don't worry, I'll fix that later when you're nice and compliant. My jaw was broken, as was my neck. My arms were literally purpled with such deep bruising, my fingers were bent in a myriad of different angles, and it feels like my ribs have turned to powder. Lovely, just another day in the life of Kakarot, huh? Tawa reached down, holding the mask in her hand out to place on my face. Only, she never got the chance, because my suddenly fully healed hand caught her across the jaw with a backhand and sent her blasting backwards through the air and smashing apart dozens of crystal pillars herself, begun thought. I declared, pushing myself up and cracking out the kinks in my neck. You know, it's sad that the damage I just took is quite light compared to what I'm used to these days. Oh well, free Zenkai. As I examined my new power, I hummed in interest. I guess there really is something for bigger threats making my Zenkais even bigger. I mused. Really, it was no wonder the original got such a massive boost in strength after I nearly flicked him to death earlier. Tawa. Mira suddenly cried in shock at seeing the skimpy, busted demon bitch get the Kakarot treatment. I'm fine. Tawa huffed, glaring over at me as she floated up out of the remains of the crystal pillar she landed in. You, how dare you strike Tawa? He bared his teeth at me, his aura igniting like a raging inferno around him and blazing a straightforward path towards me, like a complete berserker. Too bad for him, he just lacked that big BOI Broly build. I waited right until he was just about to smash bodily into me, before thrusting my right hand out, a wave of golden ki seeping out and surrounding him before he could crash into me, forming into a sphere around him. You think this can hold me? Mira roared, pounding on Frisia's imprisonment ball technique. Quiet, I fired a pair of paralysis beams from my eyes, letting them seep into the golden sphere and strike him, making him lock up. They wouldn't hold him for long, but they would do for now, Boss Monkey Kakarot is thinking. I tossed the paralyzed, imprisoned Mira off into the distance contemptuously. What? How? Since when do scions like you know techniques like this? Tawa sputtered. I ignored her, I had better things to do. Like, making sure I can kill that idiot without going Super Saiyan. Thankfully, I had many options open to me. But first, time for another power boost. I linked my senses fully to my dimension and counted my stored fruit of might. I had quite the stockpile from the last few months indeed. In total, 3,562. That'll do for a quick little boost, I think. I waved my hand and opened up a portal, allowing thousands of spiky orange fruit to fall out. Fruit from the Tree of Might. Tawa gasped, gaping at me wide-eyed. Best be quick before she tries anything. I dismissed the portal and swiped my other hand through the air, grasping all the fruit up in my telekinetic grip, before bringing both hands together and squishing the mass of fruit together like a hydraulic press, only more Chadley in design. Despite how many of them there were, due to how strong of a pressure I could exert with my telekinesis, in just seconds, the mass of fruit were compressed down into nothing more than a little orange pebble. Which I promptly swallowed. That's some good shit. I laughed gleefully as I felt my power begin to rise massively again and felt my very life force itself grow. What kind of monster are you? Tawa's wide-eyed gaping had turned into a gaze of horror. You haven't seen anything yet, demon slut, I grinned at her, igniting my ki around my form. Wanna see something cool? I'd really rather not. Tawa grimaced, casting a glance towards where Mira was just now beginning to move within the imprisonment ball. Only a few seconds had passed, quite impressive of him really. Too bad, my grin became absolutely evil, Kaioken X100. I laughed, as a massive aura of crimson red power exploded out of my body, multiplying my power to the same degree Super Saiyan 2 would. I felt my eardrums pop immediately, and the bones in my body buckled and snapped under the intense overcharged pressure of my own body. It felt like my very blood was cooking within me, and my vision went utterly black as my eyeballs exploded in their sockets. This was perhaps the worst pain I'd ever felt before. Liquid agony filled my very being, yet it only lasted for a few seconds, because despite the pain, I still had the sense to cut off the technique. When I came back to myself, my entire body was dripping with blood, my clothes were seeped entirely all the way through and died within my precious life liquid. Yet, for all the pain, I felt even stronger than ever. I felt like my power had doubled. I really am gonna end up some super masochist at this rate. Though, that thought is immediately dashed as I catch sight of Tawa. Her blue skin had paled quite noticeably and she shook in horror, eyes wide with terror as she stared at me. Honestly, I probably looked like way more of a demon than she could ever hope to be. And that reminded me, I much preferred to be the one giving than taking. I am the monkey of domination after all. Our regeneration, and the Kaioken at a full 100 times, Did you just near destroy your own body just for a Zenkai? She stuttered, almost timidly. Yes, and no, I shrugged, hiding a wince as a massive phantom pain racked my body. I've never used the Kaioken before, you see, I've never needed to before. I've just got a little problem with my Super Saiyan form and needed to build up a resistance to the kickback from the technique nice and quick. You're insane. Tawa actually quickly flew back away from me at my reasoning. But not insane. I pointed out, but she rudely ignored me and continued to get her distance away from me. Just then, the imprisonment ball finally shattered and Mira shot back up into the air. Fight me properly, he roared at me, stop with these damn tricks. The white-haired artificial demon closed the distance between us in the blink of an eye and aimed to take my head off with a key blade formed around his arm. All he slashed through was an after-image though as I appeared behind him again, arms and legs crossed in a meditation pose, like a boss. Take me seriously, fool. Mira spun and lashed out with his key blade. At the same time I ducked underneath and hooked my tail around his arm, leaving me hanging from his arm like a monkey from a tree branch. How about become worthy of me taking you seriously, weakling? I snorted, thrusting one hand out and unleashing a massive wave of crimson red ki that swept over his body and carried him off into the distance once more. It would barely do anything to him with our current power difference, but honestly, I was just getting some space and time. For all his power, he's a complete amateur that overextends on every action. He's not a master martial artist or anything like that, he's nothing like Seychelles, he's more in line with Trunks. All the power, but with none of the experience or knowledge how to use it properly. See, this is what happens when you gorge yourself on useless time energy to get strong. I snorted in derision. Hypocritical? Maybe to a degree, but even by the time Goku was the age this body was created, he was already a master of the turtle style, and the man whose memories I inherited was well learned and experienced in kickboxing, and I trained extensively with Rashi to make both those styles mine. Besides, real men obviously grievously injure themselves for power boosts. Either way, it was time to put an end to this. I've got shit to do. I let my ki surge through my muscles and quickly entered the ultra form, and then with a thought, formed bio-armor over my chest and a helmet and face guard reminiscent of Cooler's own, and then, with a quick application of spirit control, merged them well, enhancing the effects of the ultra form twice over. The ultra bio form, or as many knew it by normally, Cooler's fifth form. And then, I entered my mystic Saiyan state, multiplying my power 3 times over once again. Not bad. I hummed, examining my more muscular, armored form through my bio helmet. With this, I don't even need a Super Saiyan form to slap around Mira. In fact, I don't even need to push myself all that hard. Kaioken X20. I initiated the technique once more, though this time at only a fifth of what I had before, my crimson red ki becoming an even darker, bloodier crimson red. I felt a bit of a strain on my body from it, and the sheer drain it had on my ki was quite absurd, but, due to my regeneration and infinite ki generator, it was a moot point. Yes. This is what I've been waiting. Mira came charging right back like an idiot, only he was cut off completely when I appeared in his guard a split moment later. Time freeze, baby. Mira gurgled in pain as my fist punched straight through his lower abdomen, and then I tore it out from the front, and held up his intestines for him to see. Come back when you aren't such a scrub, you damn scrub. I snorted, before bitch slapping him across the face with his own intestines and sending him soaring once again, the audible cracking sound of his neck breaking very audible, easy for both myself and the hot blue demon bitch to hear. This is impossible. Tawa clutched her head and screamed in horror a moment later as she took in the completely unconscious form of her baby daddy petri dish. How are you this powerful? Where did you get all these absurd techniques? Not even Son Goku was this powerful when he became a god. What can I say? I eat my fruit and veggies, and get plenty of vitamins. I shrugged, before lifting her boyfriend's intestines up and establishing my dominance by munching them down. Demon guts. Kinda stringy, but science can digest practically anything anyway. When she saw what I did, that was it for Tawa. She collapsed onto the crystal Mira was laying unconscious on, her body just outright giving out on her in her fear. Yeah, teach you to interrupt my busy schedule, bitch. I huffed internally, and floated my way over to her. No. Go away. Stay away from me. Tawa went wide-eyed with hysterics and pointed her staff at me with trembling hands. What, are you pzing or something now? I snorted. Don't worry, I won't hurt you as long as you open up a portal back to where I came from so I can leave this place. As much as I'd love to destroy her for her cheek, I don't know how to get out of here and don't fancy being stuck in here for however long it takes me to figure out how to break out like that twat demigra. That's all? And you promise you'll let us go? Tawa asked, swallowing heavily, forcing herself up onto her trembling legs. Yep. I shrugged. Oh, okay. Tawa nodded quickly and turned away from me, lifting her staff and pointing to an empty spot in the air. My eyes dropped to her latex-clad bubble butt, and I nodded to myself. Tawa gave a sharp squeal as my palm impacted one of those jiggly cheeks. Though, if you ever bother me again, I'll rip that pussy boy toy of yours apart, mount his head on a pike and keep you as a sex slave, got it? I growled at her. Why yes, I understand. Tawa agreed quickly and got right down to business. A moment later, a portal formed and through it I could see the large, yellow-domed building of Capsule Corp. Right, I nodded. See you later, demon thought. I spanked her again, one for the road and all that, drawing another squeal from her, before hopping through the portal and landing back on Earth. The portal snapped shut behind me instantly. There's Bulma and Bulla. I mused, looks like I'm back home then. Luckily for Tawa, I didn't need to resort to plan B. Letting them get tail-vored by my goodest son Cell so he could learn everything they knew and could just get us out. It really would have been a shame to erase the demon booty from the universe after all. Even with a fat blue S that's fine, she only gets one freebie though. I promised. Kakarot Battle Power, 2,464,316,380. Kakarot Battle Power, Ultra Bioform / Mystic Scion 22,178,847,420. Kakarot Battle Power, Ultra Bioform / Mystic Scion / Kaioken X 2443,576,948,400. That wraps up this part of What If Reborn as a Goku clone. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.